So this is going to be a relatively quick guide to training mode. They recently improved training mode quite a bit, so it's far more useful than it has been in the past. I kind of see training mode as a place where you can practice specific mechanics. So where in TDM you practice all your mechanics at once, in training mode I see it as a place to kind of target specific mechanics and practice them, whether it's with your aiming or movement or whatever it is. I'm going to be going over things that are relevant to competitive players. So things like driving and parachuting, I don't see those as super relevant when making the most out of training mode. So I'm not going to be going over anything like that. But yeah, let's get into it. So the first thing that's relevant is the spawn tool. Press whatever button you have it bound to. So as you can see, that's my button on the right. So I'll just press that. It'll bring this menu up. As a comp player, it's only really relevant for me to grab a barrel or an M4 and a mini or an SLR. Those are the only two or only four weapons that I practice with. It doesn't really matter how you set them up. Just practice whatever guns and attachments you want to practice. Grab the foregrips you want. Grab the magazines you want. Grab a muzzle if you want easy recoil. Maybe you want to test a suppressor out or something. As in terms of sights, as a comp player, I only really grab the red dot, the 3x, the 4x, the 6x, and the 8x. But again, practice whatever you want. You grab a stock for your M4 or SMG, whatever it is as well. Make sure you equip the 3 gear down the bottom right. That'll give you the most inventory space. And then whatever guns you have equipped, you can just add ammo down the bottom right. Just spam click that. And it'll add ammo into your inventory. So to get into the new aim trainer, you just have to find one of these gray helipads around the map. They're marked with this target on the map. You go inside. It'll bring you the option to do either aim training or sound training. I don't think sound training is relevant at all. I don't know anyone who does it. So just do aim training. It'll bring up the spawn menu again. Don't worry about that unless you don't have anything equipped. Press enter and the targets will start to pop up. It's pretty bare bones compared to like CS's offline with bots or something like that. And it's important to note that the targets don't actually reflect what an actual person would be in an actual match. Like there's outlines on the targets and stuff like that. It's still good though. Practice your headshots, whatever. Excuse the aim, I haven't really warmed up. I haven't played the game in like a week or something. So I'd use this to practice your flicks, practice your on target, like quick short sprays, practice your headshots, things like that. So the other new thing that's been put into training mode is these practice ranges. They are marked with this on the map, this little target sign. You enter these and it'll bring you into this room. This range here on the left, I don't see it as relevant. Sure, you can practice your sprays and it'll tell you when you're on target with the numbers, but it's not like the best, I'd say. It's just another thing. The range on the right here may be relevant to you, however, because you can set the distance of the target to up to 50 meters, and then it'll show you where your sprays are lying or where your sprays are landing. Pretty bad spray from me, but it'll show you where your sprays are landing on the target downrange. Maybe it's relevant to you, maybe it's not. I don't really use it, but maybe I should start using it because who knows? Maybe I need to work on my sprays. Anyway, that's this practice range. It's not the best thing that PUBG added to training mode, but it's another thing they've added to training mode, so can't really complain. The other thing you'll find in training mode is this section here, which has these red dots that I don't know how relevant they really are. I guess you could practice your up and down target switching. I don't really practice here just because you can see these red dots over that training range over there. I'll get to that in a second. Here as well, kind of the same thing. I guess you can practice your headshots if you really wanted to. Practice, again, just spraying at random shit in a different kind of environment. Again, these are cutout targets, so it doesn't really reflect people in an actual game, so take that as you will. But it's kind of like the normal training mode. It's not a bad way to just kind of flick to targets and spray them, and I kind of just warm up your aim. So the next relevant thing in training mode is these long range ranges here. There's one here on this side of the map, and then there's one all the way over here. I don't see these as any different. Doesn't really matter which one you go to. They're basically the same thing. I would use these to practice both your ARs and your DMRs. So you can spray with ARs at a decent distance. Oh, I'm out of ammo. And then you can use your DMRs at a decent distance too. I don't know if these targets actually reflect player sprint speed, but they're not terrible. They're not a terrible thing to practice. Now that they've added the numbers that show up too, it's not that bad. Lucky there's a little dude down at the end there that you can You can shoot if you wanted to. That's a rare find, actually. It's a rare find in a training mode. Someone at distance like that. Again, these red dots show up, but I don't know how relevant they are. You can shoot the ones at distance if you want, but that's not how I choose to practice my DMRs. We'll get to that in a second. This is where you practice your tracking and your DMR leading. So something that's been in training mode for a long time is the ability to grab a bike or any other form of motorbike and drive up onto these rocks to practice your DMR. I don't know if you have to drive up these with a bike. I don't think you do. You can just walk up them, but this is the quickest way to do it. You just hop out here. I don't think this is a bad height at all, and you can see across the entire map. And it's just a good way to practice your DMR from range. Most of the time, if you're lucky, especially if you do it at the start of a training mode, these people will be running around, so they create targets for you to hit, moving targets for you to hit at least, which isn't too bad. And then, of course, this isn't the only spot you can do it. I was up on that ramp the other day. It's not bad. Maybe there's some rocks over there and stuff that you can also get up on top of. I don't know how relevant these towers are going to be. Maybe they're too low. For me, this is... If I'm going to do a full training mode session, this is absolutely something that I'm going to do a decent amount of. With the ability to spawn in ammo now, I don't have to go back down, pick it up, and come back up. I can just sit here and shoot away at all the little ants running around. And it's something that I'll do for a decent amount of time in the training mode. Something else I'd recommend you do in training mode is find a long range like this. This is a pretty common one because people spawn along this line. And there'll always be AFK people down the end. For example, this guy's gone a little bit far from spawn and just went AFK. So he's a good target just to get a headshot and a few body shots on, and just rinse and repeat that process to kind of practice your DMR accuracy. There's a lot of moments in game where people will be standing still and you'll have a DMR and you need to get that perfect headshot and then next body shots if you wanted to. And this is a good way to practice that. And just practice that kind of on target accuracy. Just like shoot your whole mag and just see how many of them you can get on target. I fucking blow right now, so it's not the best showcase, but it's a good way to practice your DMR accuracy. This is, again, just like the rocks, this is something I'd put in my routine almost every time. The last relevant thing they added in the new training mode update was the car shooting range. So what this is good for is just your general tracking. There's a lot of moments in competitive PUBG where you'll be shooting cars, so this is good for that practice, I suppose. But the bikes I find are the most useful because they're not necessarily a challenge to shoot, but they're more of a challenge to shoot than these big fucking cars, right? So the cars, when you shoot them, it'll reflect if there were people actually sitting in the car, so it'll tell you when you got a headshot, when you got a body shot, so it's not bad. Again, relevant in comp PUBG because you'll be shooting cars so many times. And again, in terms of a routine, this is something I would absolutely put in because it's just a really good way to practice your tracking. Now, the only other thing I would do in training modes is just shoot people. Training mode is online, so there'll be a ton of other people around. And they're really good target practice. Like this, you're shooting actual people here with unlimited ammo, with whatever gun setup you want. So shooting people can be a good form of just practicing your aim in general and practicing your weapon control and shit like that. That's kind of what I do at the start of a training mode. Is I'd hop in, I get my ARs, and I literally just start crazy flick spamming around on the people who just spawned in to warm up my aim. And then later down the track, if I wanted to get some spray practice in, then these people will still exist. They'll most likely just be AFK, and you can spray on them. So I wanted to quickly mention what you might do for a routine in training mode, and how you kind of set that out. Now that I've shown you everything that you can do and what it's good for, how would you actually put that into a routine? I'd always start with my ARs just because it's easy and it warms up my aim, warms up my flicks. So again, you'd go into the training ranges here to warm up your flicks. On the helipads, those target ranges. If you wanted to warm up your sprays, the thing about training mode is you can do that almost anywhere because there's always someone to shoot. There's always a target to shoot at. I prefer to do it in that aim training range because I can do short, quick sprays. But the other place I'd do it is the 800 meter range or the 400 meter range because those are like the more challenging long distance sprays. And then I'd move on to my DMRs. And DMRs, again, the ranges are pretty good for that. But when I do my DMRs, I 100% prefer to get up on top of a rock or a high point and shoot at the people moving around. And then if there's any AFK people down the long ranges, I'll practice my accuracy with DMRs there. And then of course, definitely use that card training range. Practice your tracking, same as the 800 meter ranges. You can do that in whatever order you want, but that's how I do it. That's how I prioritize it as a comp player. Nothing complex, nothing super specific. There's just, again, training mode has a bunch of shit that's kind of recycled. So you're mostly going to be doing similar things throughout the session, and that's how I'd organize them. So that's kind of it. Training mode is honestly, it's super bare bones, and a lot of the targets and things are repeated throughout the map. So it's not as efficient as an offline training mode should be. There's a few good things in training mode. I much prefer TDM just because you can practice everything all at once, and I don't really have any specific mechanics that I want to practice. But if you wanted to practice your tracking or your basic flicks within the game of PUBG, then training mode's a good place to do that because you can do it in a controlled environment. Especially for a beginner, this is a really good way to just get your sprays down and get used to whatever sense you run. So yeah, that's basically it. I hope that you enjoyed. I hope it was helpful. This is kind of a new journey for me, making content like this. Is super bare bones and super easy, but I wanted to get this out because it was super easy and it was a way for me to just dive into it. So I appreciate you watching, and yeah, see you in the next one.